So, in the beginning of the story, we see Dan and his friends falling into the water during a war. The story is told 28 years ago, where Dan is a biology teacher in a high school. Dan lives with his wife Emmy and daughter Maury. Dan is interested in working in the Army Research Lab. That's why he has applied for a job in the Army Research Lab, which has an interview today. Dan goes to his house. Today, there is a Christmas party at his house. That's when Dan tells Emmy about the interview, on which Emmy is angry with him because she wants Dan to spend the day with his family. Also, Emmy says that your father has sent a Christmas card to Maury, which makes Dan angry because he hates his father. Actually, his father had left him. Since then, Dan has not spoken to him. After this, Dan is going for his interview, during which he finds out through a call that he has rejected him and given the job to someone else. Dan gets very angry and puts his file in the dustbin and enters the house, where he sits with Maury and Emmy and watches the football match. During the mid-match, suddenly a portal opens and a lot of soldiers come out of it. The leader of these soldiers, Lieutenant Hart, also comes there, which tells everyone that they have come from the future, where in 2051, a war has broken out between aliens and humans named White Spikes, and they are losing this war. If this continues in the next 11 months, humans will be exterminated from the entire Earth. Hart asks everyone to help him so that he can win this war. After this incident, all the countries for their help send ordinary people to the army and send them to the future. But still, in the future world, the population of humans is less than 5 lakhs. Also, by losing the lives of 50% of the people sent to the future, now people start raising questions about going to the future, because of which everyone starts opposing going to the future. Actually, everyone is sent there for only 7 days. If they stay there for 7 days, they come back to the past. Here, Maury also starts crying because of this and tells his mother that he should never go to the future. Then Dan comes there and talks to Maury and calms him down. The next day, when Dan is in class, an emergency alert comes in his phone. Actually, Dan is told to come to the Army Research Center as soon as possible because he thought he would get a job now. But when he comes here, the soldiers put his hand in a machine. Then Dan finds out that they are going to send him to fight in the future. They also tell Dan that he will die in 7 years. Dan could have asked them something. That's why a device is put in his hand so they can track Dan. And he is told that if he messes with this device, he can go to jail. Now Dan is told to finish his personal work within 24 hours because after that, he will be trained for the war. All this happened without Dan's consent, but now he couldn't do anything if he wanted to. Then we see Amy, who is a therapist and counsels people who have come back from the future. After this, Dan comes there and tells Amy that they are sending him in 2051. Amy knew that it was difficult to come back from there, that's why she forbids Dan from going there. On which Dan tells that they have put a tracker on my hand, so now he can't do anything if he wants to. On which Amy tells Dan to take his father's help, because only his father can remove that device. After this, he goes to his father, where his father is ready to remove the device, but remembering the old things, there is a debate between the two. That's why Dan leaves without removing the device in anger, and tells Amy that he will have to go to fight the war. Knowing this, Amy cries a lot, but Dan promises her that he will be back in 7 days. After which he says goodbye to Maury and goes to a research center from there. Many people were going to go to the future with Dan. Here, everyone is given an army dress, and everyone is divided into different teams, in which Dan's team is called R Force, which is a research team. Here, a girl asks that why can't they go behind the time machine and kill the enemies before the war starts? On which an officer sitting there tells her that their time machine can only travel 30 years, in which they can only go in 2051 and come back in 2022. Apart from this, he is also told that their enemies are not humans, but aliens. At night, Dan talks to his friend Charlie, during which the emergency alarm starts ringing. That's why Lieutenant Hart tells everyone to go to the future right now. Now, because everyone should have been taken there after completing the training, but Lieutenant Hart said that aliens have attacked their research lab. If that lab is destroyed, then they will lose the war. After this, everyone is called to a place, and then, one by one, they are sent to the future, during which something goes wrong in the system, because of which they all stay in the sky instead of landing on the ground. And then one by one, everyone starts falling down. This was the same scene that was shown to us at the beginning of the story.
Here, Dan and some people fall in a swimming pool. while the rest of the people fall to the ground and die. Seeing the situation here, everyone is shocked, because there were only aliens everywhere. After this, we see the Colonel of the future world, who contacts the rest of the people. She makes Dan the team leader and tells him that he will have to save the people stuck in the research lab. Dan goes to the lab with his team. Everyone reaches the lab and sees that the aliens have killed everyone. When the Colonel finds out about this, he is very sad and tells Dan to bring the hard drive kept in the lab. These people don't have much time because the aliens were about to come to the lab. After which, the Colonel tells Dan to bring all the biological materials kept in the lab, during which aliens also start coming there. That's why the army here drops a bomb on the lab and goes to destroy it completely. The Colonel tells that Dan and his teammates only have 3 minutes, after which the lab will be blasted. But when those people are going out of the lab, then these aliens attack them. These aliens are very powerful, and bullets have no effect on them. In the attack of the aliens, some of Dan's teammates are killed. Now, as soon as the remaining people come out of the lab, then a lot of aliens start coming there and start chasing them. In the meantime, the army comes there, but the aliens kill them. If there is no way, Dan and the rest of the people start shooting at the aliens. After a while, a bomb is dropped there, due to which a very big blast happens. Due to this blast, many of Dan's teammates are also killed, and many get injured. Now, as soon as Dan opens his eyes, he is in a camp. Here, it is found that apart from Dan, his friend Charlie was left in the blast. When they both come out of the camp, then they see another man of their team. His name is Dorian. Dorian had come for the 3rd time in the future. So Dan asks him, "Aren't you afraid of dying?" On which Dorian tells him that he has cancer and he is only going to live for 6 months. So he has to live the rest of his life in his own way, and instead of staying at home, he wants to fight and die. Meanwhile, 2 soldiers come there, who tell Dan to come with them, while Dorian and Charlie are told to go back to the lab. Dan asks Dorian to take care of Charlie, because Charlie was very scared and he didn't want to go back there. On the other hand, when Dan meets the Colonel, then he finds out that she is his daughter, Muri. Actually, Muri had grown up in the future. Dan is very happy to see her on the Colonel's post and starts crying happily. Now, as soon as Dan hugs her, then Muri stops him. She also tells him that I have not called you here to get emotional, but for a special reason. When Dan asks the reason, then Muri tells him to tell everything when the time comes. After that, Muri takes Dan inside and tells him about female white spikes. Muri said that female aliens are very powerful and angry, which makes their nest under the ground and creates aliens. All male aliens protect this female alien and even give their lives for its protection. Muri tells Dan to take him on a mission. In this mission, she wants to catch the female alien and make a toxin from its DNA, with which all aliens can be killed. Actually, everyone was killing male aliens till now, but it was difficult to kill female aliens. If female aliens are killed, then no more aliens will be born, and by killing the remaining aliens, they will save the world. After this, they all go to the place where female aliens lived under the ground. At this place, Muri tells Dan to stay up, and she comes down and catches the female alien. This alien is very powerful, and she calls her male aliens. After some time, many aliens come there. Seeing this, Dan gets down to save his daughter. Finally, that alien is caught, and then he is sent to the center by helicopter. But then many aliens come there. Many soldiers are killed by their attacks. Here, Dan and Muri sit in an army car,
where Dan drives the car and Muri shoots the aliens. After this, they both reach a beach, where there was no alien. Here, Muri gets angry with Dan and asks, why did he come down from the helicopter? On which Dan says that you are my daughter, and how could I sit quietly seeing you in danger? Here, Muri tells Dan that when I was 12 years old, then you left me and my mother, and then after a few years, you died. This was the reason why Muri was not happy to see Dan. Seeing Muri cry, Dan is very sad. He was not able to understand. Why did he leave his family in the past? After a while, a helicopter comes there and takes him to the army center in the middle of the sea. This place was made so special that no alien could come there. That female alien was kept at this place. Muri takes her blood sample and takes out her DNA. After checking the DNA, she finds out that she has to take many samples and test thousands of them. Then a toxin will be formed. After this toxin is formed, she will be able to kill all the aliens easily.
Muri works on all DNA samples, but she has not yet found a perfect DNA sample. These samples were limited to only 60% and 50%. Muri wakes up all night and tests the samples, but she still does not get any good result. After this, Dan comes there and tells Muri to rest. Today, Dan had been here for 7 days. That's why he had to go back in 2022. Dan asks Muri why he had called her here, to which Muri says that if this toxin is formed, then it is your job to take it back to your world, because it will take a lot of time to make more toxins here. But when you take it and go to your world, then it will take a lot of time to make it. When this toxin is formed, then they can stop the war from starting in their world. Meanwhile, she sees a DNA sample toxin being 100%. Then that female alien wakes up and starts screaming loudly. Hearing her scream, all the male aliens start coming there. There were so many of them that it was difficult to kill everyone. The aliens start killing the soldiers badly. Meanwhile, Dan and Muri are together, during which the male aliens free the female alien. Now, Dan has to reach the place as soon as possible, from where he will go back in 2022. But a lot of aliens had come to this place. Both of them move forward while killing them. That's when the female alien attacks Muri and injures her. After this, Dan moves forward with Muri. That's when the time travel machine turns on. Here, Muri apologizes to Dan and says that I also love you very much. Dan also wanted to take his daughter to the past. That's why he sits next to her. But that's when the female alien comes there and catches Muri. Dan was able to save her before he is sent by the time machine in 2022. Here, along with Dan, Charlie, Dorian, and some other people had also come. Dan gives the toxin to Lieutenant Hart and tells him to make a large amount and send it to the future, on which Lieutenant Hart tells that the jump link is now closed. That is, now he cannot use the time machine. That's why he lost this war. After which he meets his wife. Dan was very sad about Muri's death in the future. When he comes home and sees Muri, he hugs her and sits in his room all night, after which the female alien comes to him. That's when Dan tells her about Muri in the future. Now Dan thinks of doing something to stop the war in the future. That's why he goes to Dorian first and asks him for the alien's nail, which Dorian had kept with him in the future. After that, they both take that nail and go to Charlie. Charlie does research on that nail, then he finds that there is a volcano ash on his nails. Charlie tells that this ash is the ash of the volcano that exploded in China. Then Dan says that Lieutenant Hart had told that the first attack of the alien was in Russia. Then why are there ashes of China's volcano in his nails? That's when Dan remembers a student of his who knew a lot about the volcano topic. That's why the three of them go to him, where the student tells that 1,000 years ago, a volcano had erupted in China. Its waves had reached Russia, and then it turned into ash and froze there. Then after some time, that place was covered with snow. After knowing all this, they understand that surely some alien ship must have come there, and then because of the snow, they must have been buried there, which came to Earth after the snow melted in 2051. After this, Dan and Charlie go to the defensive security and tell them the whole theory, and go to Russia and tell all the aliens to kill before the war, but they don't believe their theory.
That's why he refuses to support them. That's why the three of them go there themselves and think of killing those aliens. Now Dan goes to ask for help from his father, because he had a plane. Dan tells his father everything, and tells him that he has to go to the glacier island of Russia to kill the aliens, for which he needs a plane and a pilot. Dan's father agrees to his request and gets ready to go with him. Apart from this, Dan had made a lot of toxins with the help of Lieutenant Hart, which he takes to Russia. Here Dan had taken a team with him. They all reach the glacier island, and after a blast they go under the ground where they see an alien ship which had crashed a long time ago. They go inside and see. They see the dead bodies of the aliens. Here they come to know that some aliens are sleeping to keep themselves alive. After which they start killing those aliens with toxins, during which the female alien wakes up and attacks them all. Then Dorian tells everyone to go out of the ship, blasts the ship, and tells them to finish everything. After this, all those aliens come out one by one who were shot and killed by Dan's father. But because there are too many aliens, Dorian has to blast the ship, which leads to Dorian's death. Here only Charlie, Dan, and his father were left. Dan's father tells that an alien has escaped from here. Now both of them look for him and cleverly shoot him. This is the same female alien, which is very powerful, and it is very difficult to kill her easily. Then she runs away from there and hides, and attacks Dan. See, Dan's father attacks him and saves Dan. But after a while, she attacks Dan's father. Then Dan wakes up and kills that alien. After this, Dan comes to his house, and his father is also with him. Now Dan decides that he will not make any such mistake, due to which his family will be divided. And with this movie ends here.